As Blake mentioned, we are going to be talking about Scream. So, spoiler alert, because this is a special edition, and we are going to go all in on Scream 6. Oh, this is the most recent installment in the franchise. There's really not much to say about it. Plot wise, the group from Scream 5, the survivors from that, they go to Manhattan and Ghostface is there too. So again, spoiler alert, we're going to go into it. We're going to talk about everything. If you haven't seen it yet, then we don't want to ruin it for anybody. Make sure to go watch it and then come back and see what predictions we got right and wrong. So this is your final spoiler warning. If you don't want to know that Jenna Ortega is Ghostface victim, then you do not want to listen to this show. So Scream 6, this is I think Scream, I realize every time I see a movie I realize that I am on the down low to myself, I am a huge fan of this franchise.
Yeah, me too. I have my, you can see a Ghostface right behind me actually.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this is a property I think that's kind of near and dear to our hearts, specifically because of when it came out. I think this revitalized, this is the same old song you always hear. It revitalized the genre.
Yeah.
And it did it at a time when we were very, impressionable.
Right.
And but yeah, I'm always excited to see a Scream movie. It took me a long time to see Scream 4 for whatever reason, but yeah, I've been champing at the bit ever since.
Yeah, you know what? Very similar story. Like the first Scream, like you said, same reasons. Like slashers were kind of Scream, the original Scream, and I mean, there's nothing that I can add that no one's already said, but it kind of like knocked the shit out of slashers while also revitalizing the genre. It was like, and then to me, and I always go back and forth on this. Sometimes I think Scream 2 is actually superior to the first Scream.
Yeah.
And yeah, Scream 3, that's where you do see a drop, but it's still really good. And then I don't know why it took me a while to see Scream 4 also. And it wasn't that I didn't want to see it. It just, I don't know, it was just one of those things that took me a
Yeah.
while. But I got back on board with Scream 5, and we'll talk about the latest one right now. This franchise, and I give them loads of credit. Now, the first movie, that opening is iconic and they'll never top that. But each successive one, they've managed to have very strong openings.
They have. I enjoyed this one. I like the Samara weaving. It's like, there's the notable blonde. Uh-oh, that doesn't fare well for you.
Not before the Scream logo comes on. It's not a good sign.
This is not good. This is not good. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this opening. And as to what you just said, it solidified my prediction right there at the top of the movie.
Right. And it's funny because they do the, like, I like Samara Weaving. She's awesome and Ready or Not. Yeah, she's super, super cool. And I knew what was going to happen to her because, like you said, blonde before the credits, like in Scream. No, just not a good thing. But it happens relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And then Ghostface pulls off his mask, and as he's pulling off his mask, I'm like, oh man, they just ran out of steam. Like they don't have one of those strong openings. But then it's a face that I've never seen before. Just don't recognize. Okay, and then it's like, okay, like this isn't the end. And then it continues to go for another like 10 minutes or so and then they kind of flip the script on the phone call and everything, and just really, really strong opening. And they've added to their collection of cold opens.
Yeah, I loved it. I like that I like that whole, like, let's turn it on its head, and it kind of created the well, and not all of them do this. Even the first one, it has that great opening and then it slows way down.
Yeah.
This one doesn't really slow down. This kind of hits a pace with that opening that it kind of kept that clip, because there's an urgency with our main character, right? I think Sam has this like manic energy the entire time.
Yes.
And like rightfully so, that kind of makes that pushes the pace of the movie, right, just by her acting.
Yeah, you're right. Like it never, and I'm gonna stop comparing it to the first one because this is a totally separate movie. But you're right. The first one, you get that really high-powered, frantic opening, and then it becomes a movie. Like it's gonna introduce you to everybody, and then you get like one of the coolest third acts ever, where it's just like 40 minutes of chaos, like
Yes, and
really
twists and turns.
yeah, just yeah, and the whole like whatever you say, don't whatever you do, don't say I'll be back. I'll be
Yeah,
back.
I'll be
Oh,
back.
super awesome, like really
Oh yeah.
cool. This movie, like you said, it just kind of keeps it up. There's really no exposition or anything, because you know what's gonna Ghostface is in New York, like that's and he's out to get Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, because there's revenge that needs to be taken out on them. I like in this one, I was worried because Jason Takes Manhattan is like the easy comparison,
Oh
and that
yeah.
did not turn out very well. That what that movie did do really well, well, at least it was funny to me, is that when Jason finally gets to Manhattan, it turns out that he isn't the craziest thing in New York. Like New York is a fucked up city, and that kind of becomes the focus of the last like what
Yeah.
60 seconds that Jason is in Manhattan. But
Sure.
in this one, it's really cool. I thought they might do that. They kind of do it when they go into the convenience, like the convenience store owner does not take any shit.
No.
Ghostface comes in, this dude pulls out his shotgun,
It's just such plastic.
but it's not a story about, yeah, New York is crazier than the crazy killer. That's just happens to be one isolated incident. This is very much a Scream movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's very much a stock and slash, and you're given, I mean, multiple opportunities using the city itself as kind of like camouflage, for Ghostface. That Ghostface, it's a big old city, and Ghostface could be anywhere at
Yeah.
any time, and I really liked that aspect of this. I was worried that it was going to be like, it's like Spartacus, I'm Ghostface. There's like a whole like
Uh,
subway full of ghost faces.
yeah,
I don't
right,
know.
right.
Something horribly stupid. And they do kind of play on that, but they did it in like a really clever way. And I like how they used the city. I thought Ghostface in the city was surprisingly uh scary.
Yeah, for me, that was the most surprising thing, because I thought that because Scream it's a small town horror movie. It always
Yeah.
has been. So it was interesting to see how well this would work in the biggest of big cities. And instead of making it about the big city, like you said, they just integrated Scream into that, and they used New York super effectively, from
Yeah.
a great subway scene to
Yeah.
the apartments being across from each other, and a
Oh
really
yeah.
funny, scary, tense scene of them using a ladder bridge to go from
Yeah.
one building to the other. Like, and that's when the tension really picked up, and that's when actually the killings really start to get really important, and that was kind of like the turning point of the movie for me.
Yeah, me too. It, not to say that it kind of just it was aimless for the first act, but it almost was. you know,
Right, right.
yeah, it kind of just you kind of get some characters. I don't know, like
Yeah, the first act was basically, so one of the things, we'll get into characters, like how well they're developed or not right now,
yeah, all
but
right,
Sam, I think the first, it is pretty aimless. Like pretty much what you get out of it is the start of Sam becoming too protective, to being a little more less controlling of her sister,
yeah,
and her relationship with the neighbor. Like that's pretty
right,
much what the beginning is all about.
yeah, and that it's her sister whining over and over, and I got pretty tired of. I was like the whole like you can't we knew that plot line was coming. You can't control me forever. Like we knew that was coming. Jenna Ortega is a huge star now, and like we knew she was going to be like pretty important to this. But I we just needed one scene of it. We got a whole lot more than one scene of it, and not that I mean whatever. We knew it was coming. The first act is uninspiring. Luckily for us, it moves right along.
Yeah, it picks up dramatically, and which is not to say that the first act is boring or anything,
No,
because yeah, it's setting everything up, and they do a whole thing where a frat dude is going to take advantage of Jenna Ortega, and then Sam comes in, her sister, and chases the dude with the balls, and this actually pisses her sister off. So
yeah,
it's very long and drawn out. And then we learn, and this is actually important. We learn that there's a conspiracy theory that's going on the internet that everything that happened in Scream 5, that in fact it was not Ghostface's fault, but Sam had set them up
Sam.
and she was the real killer. And this kind of becomes one of the, not kind of, this becomes a major plot point throughout Scream 6. And I thought that was really, really a cool use of social media, cool use of the internet, because you're seeing it all the time in movies now. But it's not like a central focus. It's just like, okay, here it is. Check it out. Let's deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's I thought it was. I mean, Scream is one of these. I'm ever impressed that they can keep. I mean, the meta relevant and vital and like a vital part of it. You know,
Right.
like that is part of that is Scream. You know, that
Yeah.
is part of it. And whether it set out to do that in the first place or not, that became part of what this franchise is about. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how they made that part of it, and that adds a level of depth to Sam's character that I don't honestly. Scream 5, while I enjoyed it very much, I found her lead character to be pretty blasé and generic, and not anything like, oh, the Loomis factor. Yeah, okay, but
Mhm.
it didn't really do anything for me. In this, it kind of they use that kind of meta narrative to ignite her killer instinct, and I thought that was a really cool and clever way to play it. I think that might piss people off though. I've been thinking about it, and I think that might bother people. I don't know.
I think you're right. And you mentioned the meta narrative of it. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about because the opening we've talked about, how
Yeah,
iconic and how important those are to, but the meta aspect of Scream, I mean, Ghostface and its meta storytelling, like, so
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Scream invented that. I
yeah.
mean, you see that everywhere now, but Scream invented that. I'm almost well, Wes Craven invented that in that the Nightmare on Elm Street movie before that, but it didn't work very well.
Right.
Scream perfected it, and
Yeah.
they've done such a good job of keeping up with the times because when they first did it, no one was doing it. They're doing it in a time where like 9 out of 10 movies seem to be doing it now,
Yeah.
but it stays fresh. To me, it stays fresh all the time. Now, I'm speaking from the point of view of a fan, and
Yeah.
I totally think you're right. I think some people will get kind of annoyed and sick of it because it's not as unique as it was in 1999 or whatever. Also, in this movie, you get, and I forget the sister's name, but she's like the Randy of the modern bunch,
Oh yeah.
and she's explaining the rules of horror movies, and it's not
Yeah. Mindy.
much different. Yes, yes, not much different than what she did in Scream 5, except she's explaining the rules of a new part.
Right.
And I thought it was really cool, and it was really interesting. And this is where,
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the movie.
yeah, she plants the seeds that Gail and gosh, what is her name? Kirby. She plants the seeds
Yeah.
that Gail and Kirby are very much in danger. And I thought that was great, but I'm sure a lot of people will be like, one, it's too, inside baseball. Two, it's very much like they've done in every other Scream movie. They'll see it more as derivative and unoriginal than as just it's what the franchise is. And I agree with you. Like it's one of my favorite parts of the movie because it not only is it for horror fans, especially, not only is it a cool like I see you thing, but it's also really funny.
It's super funny, and she's super channeling, Randy. Like that's her uncle, and like
Yeah.
that's definitely like this movie. It's the rare instance of it plays to the schlock and fan service real hard, but it does it successfully. That's it's very impressive in that way. To where, again, we were having a conversation with our friends, not your final girl, just yesterday, and like I don't think it's gonna work for them. Maybe I think
Yeah.
that just like you said, that aspect of it may not vibe. But man, for me, I thought they did just such a great job, and I thought Mindy was an awesome character. I was super sad to see her get stabbed up. I'm glad to know that she's alive and well.
Yeah, I liked her in the first movie, and or in Scream 5, I should say. I
Yeah,
liked her in Scream 5, and they do a really good red herring in Scream 5, where it looks like one, if not both, of the twins are Ghostface.
yeah,
I thought that was really well done.
yeah. I thought that was cool. Yeah,
Yeah, and then in this one, that they do multiple red herrings with the twins again, where it looks like they both died,
Yeah.
right? And they both managed to make it through the movie. But yeah, I like them, and I like the characters. I like that meta narrative because
I do
they're
too.
yeah, and you mentioned fan service, and it's not just the storytelling. There's also it's set around Halloween.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
if you pay attention, you don't have to pay too much attention. You'll see like
You'll see them all.
Ready or Not. You'll see Black Phone. You'll see. I think this one is kind of a deep cut, and maybe it's just me, but I don't know if you've heard of Murder Party. It's an independent horror
The
movie.
game? Oh, okay.
But the
Okay.
cover is a guy dressed like a knight, really cheesy. He looks like a knight.
I
And
do know. Yeah, I know Murder Party. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and someone was dressed like that. Now, I don't know if it was
Wow.
specifically for that movie or they just
Oh,
happened
okay.
to be a shitty night, but that's exactly what they look like.
Uh,
Of course, there's a bunch of ghost face. I think
yeah.
there was a Freddy in there,
There's a
like
Freddy and Mike Myers. I
Mike
even think
Myers.
I
And,
saw a Shocker. There's like a guy in like a orange jumpsuit that made me think of Shocker.
oh, Wes Craven. So that would
Yeah,
make complete sense.
yeah. It's all Subway. There's a lot of characters in those Subway scenes that this is a fun. This is gonna be a fun movie to rewatch.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure there's multiple articles on the internet.
Oh, there is.
Like
Sure.
here's the cameos that you missed from Scream, or here who was on the subway in Scream. But really, and that scene too is also really tense. And that one also, that's when Mindy gets stabbed.
Uh-huh.
There's the red herring there of who is the killer, because it looks like someone is protecting her, but then maybe
Yeah.
it's stabbing her. Like I liked that scene a lot, and that scene I was actually kind of worried about because they had focused on it so much in the trailers that I thought that they kind of had shot their load in the trailers, honestly, and it was going to be
Sure.
really, really shitty as the movie played out. But actually, very well done, very tense, and very gory, also.
Yeah. No. This to that gore side of things. They've gone hard with the brutality in Scream for sure, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, and this one is it does not skimp on it. Very brutal stab scenes and I, blood is. I mean, there's plenty of blood. Yeah, this is not you're not skimping on the blood in Scream Six. I thought they do some effective fooling with some of that gore too, which was cool.
yeah. I think, and I don't know. This might be the most graphic one, honestly. Like
Yeah,
this one's pretty brutal.
yeah, yeah.
The so I'm thinking that so I think you agree that there's definitely going to be another Scream movie, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. So they've set Sam up to be kind of unhinged,
Yes.
and I like that. I like the fact that we never got Sydney as Ghostface because she had snapped is kind of amazing. That script didn't get passed through, but I could see it happening now because that's really she's not Sydney. She's not that character. She's not the ultimate victim really at
No.
all. Quite the contrary. So
Yeah.
um I like that side of it, and I like that there's obviously there's going to be a dynamic of Tara v Sam, I think, and I I think yeah, Scream 7 is going to be a stabby good time.
I think you're right. She's nothing like I mean opposite in the spectrum. Billy Loomis's daughter, so
Right.
very opposite end of the spectrum. But I'm thinking that eventually when either Jenna Ortega or Melissa Barrera or both of them, when they can no longer do Scream movies, that I think that one, if not both of them, in the final Scream movie they do, have to be Ghostface. Like they just have to be.
Yeah.
The other option is kind of what you mentioned. Um, I think that Sam will kill Tara as her way of saying, like, I had to save you from all this. And then, when
Uh,
killers do that, and he said, like, I had to kill you for your own good type of thing. And then I have to kill everybody else who's
Everyone else around you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. What do you think of the Core Four name? They treat it as a joke, and it is a really silly name, but
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. It works. It's
Oh,
cool.
it was yeah, it was like adorable. I enjoyed the core four. The enthusiasm and like that it is met with at first was kind of like how I was like, oh, that's so like kind of silly and goofy, but like
Yeah,
yeah, his enthusiasm builds on it, and Yeah, I love the core four. I think obviously we got more core four coming. Um, and man, it's hard to imagine them keeping this series spicy without multiple of the core four perishing in our next installment. Unfortunately.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. I think maybe in the next one they might be able to get away with, but I think that's the one where people are like, okay, like
Oh yeah.
we need change directions here, and then I think that's when they have to like pull out the big guns. Like, this is where both twins are getting killed, and one of the sisters is taking out the other, and I don't think it'll be the happiest of endings,
I
honestly.
I agree. My question to you, sir, is I mean they've taken Ghostface to Manhattan now, and so where do we take Ghostface now? I think it's to the fucking beach, dude. I think it's to the beach.
Ghostface to the beach, and he's wearing the mask, not the cloak, just some Bermudas and some flip flops. Yeah, doing his little step, his knife.
Luau,
That'd be
Ghostface.
awesome.
Yeah.
I was wondering the same thing actually, because I don't think they should do it in Manhattan again. Like,
No.
and you can't take it back to Woodsboro now. Though down the road, when people are tired of them and they had to reboot it, then you do the whole like he's come back
Yeah.
home.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
the next one, gosh, that's a really good question. Maybe in the desert in Texas, because I mean he's already been in
Ooh.
one place that's really really wacky. Come to
Ooh.
Central Texas, Ghostface,
Yeah.
and see how that
Yeah.
treats you.
See how that goes. See how well you can hide in the desert, dude.
Well, on the plus side, his face is very white, so he should it'll be cool on that end.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
well, what do you think of how they treated Sydney? Because so
Oh yeah,
famously,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, like we know that she's since said that even though she wasn't in the movie, she saw it and she loved it. Apparently, she told Skeet Ulrich that, and he gave an interview about it, which is awesome. Um, we know that it was a business decision. She straight out said that it has nothing to do with the people who actually wrote this and the creators behind it. So I think they gave her a nice little nod during the movie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they would have loved to have had her in this.
for sure.
And it was cool that they said that basically Sydney deserved her happy ending, and she just moved on with her kids. She was living her life.
Yeah, I thought it was a very yeah, I don't want to use the word graceful too much on this show, but it was semi graceful way to let that character go in the series. I mean, because you're gonna be asking for her to come back for every movie. I mean,
Right.
that's what we want, and we want the original stuff. So, yeah, I thought it was nice. You know, Sydney does deserve to ride off into the sunset and to have her happy ending, and to say it quite literally was a wise decision on their part. Interesting, man. Yeah, like you said, you obviously know that they want her back, and to say that she'll never be in a Scream movie ever again, forget about it. She'll be in a Scream movie again, but
Oh yeah,
I think it'll be a while.
I agree with you. She will eventually be back in one. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis going back to Halloween, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, she'll be back. Speaking of which, I think Sydney got a better send off in this Scream movie than Laurie Strode got in the last Halloween movie, because that movie sucked ass. But by the way,
Uh,
congratulations to Jamie Lee Curtis on the Oscar. Well deserved. Scream 6, the ending. So we can't have a spoiler filled Scream review without
without talking
talking
about the
about
ending.
it. We absolutely have to talk about it. So,
Yep.
as you alluded to earlier, you were absolutely correct. We did get Ghostface on Ghostface crime, and it
Yeah.
was awesome.
It's great.
I was 100% incorrect. Gail Weathers had nothing to do with the killings at
No.
all.
Nope.
Nothing. Also, we didn't mention this. The Gail Weathers scene, really cool, because I was
True.
really worried for her.
Oh yeah. No, I was surprised at how worried I was for Gail. You know, she's Courtney Cox. God bless her, man. I really appreciate that she stuck around in the genre. You know,
Yeah.
to a great degree. She's carried weight. You know, she's made in a lot of ways. I was thinking about it after we saw it. I was like, she's made these movies count and matter because she's always kind of been a part of it. And or David Arquette too. You know, like they
Mhm.
kind of added their Hollywood gravitas to this series, and it didn't go unnoticed. And in this movie, yeah, she shows up and she kind of gets disrespected in a way that is
Yeah.
really funny.
Yes.
And I like that a lot. But yeah, you end up really worried about her. And the Gail scene was awesome. Unfortunately, you were wrong, Pat. Yeah, Gail is not
She's
Ghostface.
not Ghostface. Like,
She's
and
not Ghostface.
I thought it might be a red herring. They might be throwing us off the scent. Like,
Yeah.
Ghostface nearly kills her. So obviously she is Ghostface. I
Right.
thought, but no, no.
Nope.
Similar though. I was close. I wasn't close. I had no idea they would go this route, but they do use a similar trick. The a roommate of Sam, she is killed early in the movie. Well, it turns out the killing was not real.
False.
Yes. So Quinn is the ghost face, along with her brother, who everyone thought was dead,
Oof.
and their policeman father, because they are actually related to Richie, who was one of the ghost face in Scream 5. The way I
Yep.
explain it sounds super complicated. It's actually very simple,
Yep.
but it's not so simple that you'll figure it out, I don't think, because I was completely thrown. Well, obviously, there's no way I would know that they were related, but I didn't think
Yeah.
that any of those three were Ghostface.
Yeah, I think they illustrate that there's always like two ghost faces. There's a rare instance of a one ghost face killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, to have three effective ghost faces in this was a nice little trick. I liked it. Dermot Mulroney has a line in it earlier in the movie that is a foreshadowing, and it made me laugh hysterically. He says, and I quote, "You fuck with my family, you fucking die."
And yeah, you're right. Like,
And
if it,
that's what the movie is. He was
yep,
Richie's dad.
it's like you said, foreshadowing. And if we weren't so busy laughing at the delivery, we may well have said, that's an interesting comment to me.
I laughed hysterically for no less than 5 minutes. But yeah, and then so they the end is kind of this like they do it's like this homage to Scream. They have
Yeah.
this like kill box as they call it, but it's filled with actual Ghostface murderabilia. It was cool. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, with the different versions of the masks over the previous stab movies.
Stab movies, right?
And it's really cool, kind of like I said, an homage to the previous Scream movies. When you get another red herring where it
Yep.
looks like Kirby is the kid,
Kirby.
and that one also got me, even
Yep.
though in retrospect, super obvious. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it totally worked on me. I was like, fuck, like legacy character. They've already teased that the legacy, and I was wrong on Gil Weathers. There's no way I'm wrong on this one.
Yeah.
And then
Alas.
yeah, I was completely off base. Turns out it's the family of killers, and all that stuff is really cool. Like it's you really see like Sam's character start to come together. She lets her sister like do her own thing. Finally, for the first time in the movie, she trusts her sister. But then
Yeah.
you also see, like you said, that yeah, she's a little unhinged. She's had one conversation with Billy Loomis early on, but now
Yeah.
it's really like
Yeah.
it's clear that she's actually seriously considering what he has to tell her.
Oh, it's Dexter levels like with his dad. It's like almost the exact kind of same thing. And yeah, it was I like that. The ending is borderline Scooby Doo-ish to some degree. It's like a fun house with all this shit, and but I liked it. I liked that side of it. I like that it was kind of silly, and you get this kind of like, oh shit, like Sam's gonna. No, I will say this about Sam. Uh, is Sam is Sam a little maybe self-centered? Maybe, she didn't ever see a picture of Richie's family, ask what his sister's name was, or what she looked like, or
Good point. Maybe he was estranged.
maybe he was too busy with his fucking
Well,
stab
actually, we know
memorabilia.
maybe he wasn't because his dad like helped him get all the memorabilia and make the
Mm,
movies and whatnot.
yeah.
I'm sure there's a logical. We're talking about Scream here. They know what they're
It's
doing.
okay. It's okay, man. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It's okay.
But oh yeah, you're right. That may well be also going back to Sam and the characters in general. Um, Sam is the only character who's developed this at all, and it's a very simple arc. But all the other characters, all the core four, everyone, the neighbor that she's sleeping with,
Yeah,
they what you see is what you get, and it doesn't
totally.
hurt the movie, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, exactly. It is pretty bare bones. I thought they were going to give Jenna Ortega a whole lot more to do, but she was just basically in every scene running for her life. So that was their expansion of her character. So yeah, it was it was Scream, man. It is what it is. I think we'll get a little bit more. I wasn't. I guess I wasn't expecting a whole lot of more character development here. So
No, not the most. What I was expecting was I just wanted to see how much more Jenna Ortega they added after
yeah,
Wednesday because
right.
she is the it girl right now. So they had to get her in as much as possible, and also they did
Yeah.
very seamlessly. Like they did a good
Yeah.
job. She never
She's
felt
tiny. She fits in every shot. You put her
she
in.
fits perfectly into every scene. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even see her.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.